Hey everyone, in this video we're going to cover the Circle of Willis. I've got a couple of different tabs open that we're going to look at, but let's go ahead and just dive in on what we know. So looking at this right here, we can kind of see the same image that we saw in the books that we were looking at, but if we rotate it here, now we're starting to be able to see this thing is on an angle, and that's exactly how that sits inside your head. Um, Looking at this right here, there's your vertebral artery, internal carotid canal, right there. So kind of like we did in the textbook, let's start, I guess, bottom up. So vertebral artery, right? And then it's going to form that spinal accessory. Coming back to the vertebral, we have that branch that comes off the vertebral, and that is your pica, right? Posterior inferior cerebellar artery. Then it comes together, that vertebral, and forms the basilar. And that first branch on the bottom, that is going to be the ICA, right? Anterior inferior cerebellar artery. We got our pontines sitting right there. First one after the pontines, this is going to be the superior cerebellar artery. Come back to the basilar, and then click on this one right here. That's going to be our posterior cerebral artery. Posterior communicating artery, carotid canal, internal carotid artery. My bad. That comes out of the carotid canal. And then we've got that middle cerebral artery. And then let's look at it from this bottom side. That's the anterior cerebral artery. Swinging around. The optic chiasm sits right there, right? And at least in this, it's very small. There's your anterior communicating artery. Okay. So these are just branches coming off of that anterior cerebral artery. If you had any questions about that. Like I said, right, it's not sitting flat. It's not sitting like a table would in your head. Like it's coming up and it's got to fit around everything that's in there. Kind of see everything just a little bit better. Let's switch to this one right here. So we have our person, right? Vertebral artery sitting right there. There's the internal carotid artery. I keep wanting to call it the canal, but it's going right through that carotid canal. So let's go ahead and open up the top of this. So right where your spinal cord is going to be coming through or going out, however you want to look at it, right? Foramen magnum sitting down right there. You got that vertebral artery. And then you have your pica and anterior cerebral artery, not anterior spinal artery, excuse me. And then right there, your ICA, pontine, that first one after the pontines, right? Superior cerebellar artery, posterior cerebral artery, posterior communicating artery, middle cerebral artery, anterior cerebral artery. Sits in there just like that. Let's come into this last one right here. Now you can see how it fits into the brain, right? Got these branches from that anterior cerebral artery coming through that longitudinal fissure right through there, right? You've got, well, let's look at it like this. There we go. Oh, had it. Now you can kind of see that's all coming off of that anterior cerebral artery. Now working backwards, got that carotid canal, right? And that forms your middle cerebral artery. Looks crazy looking at it from that side. Let's come back in. Sorry. Let's look at it on this other side. So the ones in blue, right off that, in the brain, your middle cerebral arteries, right? There's your posterior cerebral artery. Looking at the branches. Now you can kind of see, you know, that's coming posterior and it's supplying blood to the cerebral hemisphere, right? So, but it's coming to the backside, so that's why it's posterior. Then let's click on this one below it. So, posterior, this one is heading towards the posterior side, but this is your superior cerebellar artery. I can never get that right. You can kind of see in the faded view that it's superior. It's on top of your cerebellum. Okay? It's supplying that blood flow to the top of that. Now, looking at your ICA, anterior inferior cerebellar artery. So it's just below your superior side, which is feeding that top part. Kind of think of it as it's feeding the middle, but it's still superior to the posterior or your pica cerebellar artery. Okay. I definitely know that for me, that this being able to see it through complete anatomy really changed that for me, be able to see that more in a 3D sense rather than just looking at it from the textbook. So hopefully it helped. If it did, please like the video. Leave a comment below if you think it can be changed or with any questions. And I'll see you next time. All right, I just want to give credit where credit is due. These are the books and the resources I used for the videos. So first we have Essentials of Human Anatomy by Dr. Kurt Walker. We then have Essential Clinical Anatomy by Keith L. Moore and M.R. Auger and Arthur F. Daly. I also used Structure and Function of the Human Body by Mark Nilsson and Jamie Garbett. The last book I have is The Concise Book of Trigger Points by Simon Neil Asher. And then I used the app called Complete Anatomy. As you've seen from the videos, it's amazing. If you can afford it, I suggest it. It's such a useful tool when learning this stuff. So that's it. Have a good day.